Hi guys, Norm with you again, and we're trying a different camera app this time. We're using Filmit is the app, and this app is recording from Bluetooth microphone, and I have confirmed that, and there is actually an audio level meter on screen, and so now I know the Bluetooth app is working. The open camera app was good, but it seemed like no matter what I did, I could not get it to record from the Bluetooth microphone. Hello, Mogwai's coming in for a visit. Right. So anyway, this is just really a test video to see how well this camera app is going to work. And what you see here is my new dummy load. Now I had this one's little brother for quite a while. That was a 10 amp 20 volt dummy load. Well, this one goes up to 20 amps, so it's better. Well, I thought it was better until I tried using it. So you can see here, well, if I turn that down a bit. So we set it to about an amp. Oh, there we are. So that's pulling about an amp, and do you think that's looking good? The voltage about 12.3, very good. But if I now look up to the power supply, and you can't see, I'm going to zoom into that if I can. Zoom in. You can see that that is not right at all. So this dummy load has got a fault. That should be pulling a solid 1 amp, which on that supply is dead center, is 1 amp, as you can see there. And that dummy load is, well, it's going up to like 1.3 amps and then shooting back down. So it's kind of, it's like drawing the current, and it says, oh, something's wrong, and it's shutting off and it's coming back. So I don't know why it's doing that or what it's doing that for. Now, this dummy load's little brother was actually very handy. It did work well, and I mean the display on it wasn't really very accurate. I've tested this display, and this is fairly accurate on what it says, but obviously with it doing that wavering output, this is bloody useless. So I mean there is a little switch in the back there. If I zoom in on that, okay. SW1, and you can do various things with that I found. If I just like press it once, it does one thing. And right, if I press and hold that now, make sure we're focused, okay. Press and hold the switch, OU1, and then the output on the supply just goes to nothing, or very minimal. So then I press it again, and it's, what does it say? 1U1, and the output on the power supply is still nothing. So I press it again, OU1, and 1U1 is nothing. And I say, oh, I know we can. Okay, so now let's pull an amp here. And that is, okay, 1 amp. But if we look at the power supply, focus, that's pulling nearly 2 amps, which is the limit of that supply. So that, although it's stable now, that cannot be used. So let's now go press this again. OU1 at 0.7 amps, so 770 milliamps. But we look at the supply, and that is now off the clock. Totally, excuse my language, fucked up. Right, let me set this to 1 amp on the power supply. Okay, so that's 1 amp on the power supply, and that's pulling a stable 1 amp. So you say that's quite good, but then if you look back at the display, 300 milliamps. So that certainly is not good, is it? Let me try pressing and holding that again. OU2. No, that's doing exactly the same. And we're still pulling an amp on the power supply. And again. OU3. No, it's just the same. So I don't really know what this is doing. Then if you come back to the standard thing, and then the power supply goes to doing its bloody jumping again. Focus. Yeah. So it's really good that I found that out, because you could be using this dummy load thinking you're pulling 1.6 amps, and actually it's just all over the place. You know, if I didn't have an external meter on that, checking that, you might have thought, well, that's okay. It's a good little dummy load. Well, that's what I thought until I actually tested it, you know, with the, let's get it in so we can see the both things. There you are. I mean, that's just like as if I'm turning this up and down, up and down. But no. So let's see if it stabilizes as we go up. No. So that's like 3.7 amps, what it should be. But the power supply is still, it's still flicking out. So let's go up and up and up. See if the power supply shuts down. No. So we're obviously not pulling 20 amps. Let's go down to 0.3. And now that's interesting, because at 0.3 on there, the power supply is still doing its flickery thing, but it's doing it slowly. You see that? Yeah. Weird. And I mean, 300 milliamps, well, according to this, it's 300 milliamps. I mean, it's, yeah, super crazy. If I turn it down, how can I go down here? Well, we're now at 140 milliamps, and that is stable, is it? No, it's creeping up. So I'm not sure exactly why it would be doing that. That's definitely very, very strange, isn't it? Because it's almost as if something's getting overloaded in the dummy load, and then it's like shutting off. And then it's trying to build up the amps, and then it's shutting off. But because this is just building up so slowly at the minute, it's weird. Weird as Trish. Right, so try and get him. Yeah. Oh, that display's flickering quite a bit in the light. But yeah, so can I get this stable at all? No. Just cuts off completely. 120 milliamps. And no, it's climbing up again. Yep, climbing, climbing, climbing. Rawhide. It's weird, it seems to get, and then flip, and back. Yeah, building up slowly, building up slowly. Then in a minute, it'll just flip, and then go back. So, that is weird. Wait for it. Here it goes. Bonk. Yeah, so I can't explain that. And if any of you in the comments have got an idea, there we go. So we're pulling 0.9 amps now, according to the dummy load, 900 milliamps. And it's doing that. And I can go right up to 20 amps. And it's just doing the same. So yeah. Let's come back down to nothing. Right. 380 milliamps. 220. Okay, so maybe you're thinking that the power supply is faulty. And of course, I did think that, because of course you do when you've got something reading right and something reading wrong. So if I get an external meter, oh, let me zoom back out. I've got this external meter now, set to 10 amps. Whoops. And this is just a cheap meter. If I want to do any sort of fine measurements, I would bring out the fluke meter. But for something like this, that's not really needed. Right, let me disconnect the load. Can I get it so we can see the power supply at the same time? Focus. Okay, well this camera app seems to be doing okay. Right, it's got the external ammeter in line. You can see that this is definitely not stable. But it seems to have steadied up the thing. If I now go to the power supply, zoom in on the power supply again, now it's only deviating a little bit. So that is really weird, isn't it? So, okay, I've just had another thought. Let's now run it off a battery pack and see if that makes any difference. All right, so let's move it all over a bit. And switch out that red for this red. And oops, come down here now. And get the other load. Right, so now we're running off a battery and apparently pulling 200 milliamps on here, and it says we're at 0.69 on there, but that's dancing around a bit, as we can see. So, and this says we're pulling 0.64, 0.63, 0.64. Okay, so that is still dancing around a bit. Let's bring the current up now to about an amp, or an amp according to that. And now reading 0.9, 0.8, I mean, 0.97 you would say is fairly okay, but it's just not stable, is it? I mean, if we can look at this one, 0.87, 0.88, 0.82, 0.91. Something is definitely wrong with this dummy load. And I'll just bring the current up a bit more to like 3 amps, or 3 amps according to that. And now this is going crazy. Look at that. And on this one, 0.6, 0.9, 0.7, 0.5, 0.8. So it is basically, these two are basically tracking about the same. You know, but both are totally different than what it says on here. Okay, 11.8, 11.8, so the voltage is reading okay, but the current is terrible. So yeah, that's the 20 amp dummy load. Well, I say cheapy dummy load really, but it was about 30 quid, I think. So not entirely cheap. I mean, cheaper than the branded one, of course. But I had high hopes for this because its little brother was a very nice little dummy load, really. I mean, you know, it had its flaws, but it was, for the price of it, that one was like £7. That was very good. But this one, its supposed upgrade, is no good at all. Anyway, guys, this video is getting on for too long now, so if any of you got any ideas why this thing's going crazy, let's have a quick zoom in on that main board. Yep. So we've got the 4 output stages, 1, 2, 3, 4, and or the 4 sort of, you know what I mean. Anyway, and the 2 chips. So yeah, the fan going on and off, obviously when the load's coming in and out, the fan's cutting in and out. Obviously you probably can't hear that because this mic's got noise cancelling, but yeah. So yeah, there we are, guys. That's a cheap dummy load. If any of you have got any ideas what we can do to smooth this thing or make it work, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, guys. Cheers for now.